So the Celtics have been bad in the last month. On January 4th, they were 25-8. Since then, they've lost 6 of 8 games. They're now 27-14. Fourth in the Eastern Conference, where the 2 seed is crucial because it means you get an easy first-round series and you're away from the Bucks until the conference finals if you get there. So, any sort of bad streak is significant in the Eastern Conference if you ask me. I mean, right now the Celtics would face the Pacers in round 1. It's a scary idea, especially if Oladipo's back. Whereas Miami would play Orlando. So there you go. If we get to what's going on, I mean, in terms of just this isolated 8-game stretch, I think it's mainly the defense. I mean, for the season, the Celtics are top 5 in offense and defense, or they're like number 6 in defense, I think. And they're mediocre at both in this recent stretch. And there's a chance that this is just some isolated thing and they'll get out of it. But they've got the Lakers tonight. That's going to be a tough one. On top of, there's a chance this isn't an isolated thing and this is going to be some new problem that the Celtics are just dealing with, this sudden mediocrity. In terms of the actual numbers, what would they suggest? I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could really notice is the teams are shooting like over 50% on mid-rangers against them. The Celtics are still pretty good at not allowing a lot of shots in the paint relative to the rest of the league. I know it's been a thing talked about, by me included, their need for a big, and I can understand it in terms of a playoff matchup against Miami or Philly or Indiana or whatever. But in terms of just getting through the regular season, I mean, you know, for the season overall, the Celtics, they allow the 3rd least amount of shots in the restricted area. If we just go to the paint outside of the restricted area, they're a little worse lately, so okay, there you go. For the season overall, they're still damn good, and they allow like the most mid-rangers in the league, which is the shot that you would want to allow the most of. But again, dudes are making a whole lot of those lately, so does that mean the bigs aren't stepping up enough? Yeah, potentially. Devin Booker hit some tough shots when they faced the Suns recently. Milwaukee was also just insane from 3, so there's some bad luck going on, but the defense has also just been kind of a step slow across the board, whether it's being slow on a rotation, being slow on a closeout, not creating enough resistance between the ball handler and the screen, just all the boring things that these guys are aware of. Like, you look at their quotes and they're all acknowledging that the defense has to be better, but you have to actually do it. Now, and does that mean that their lack of a great or even very good defensive big has finally caught up with them? Maybe. But a couple of things I would say to that. Number one, they went a whole lot of the season making it work just fine with Daniel Tice and Enes Kanter. Number two, where's the big that's available that's going to fix everything, you know? Do you really want Dwayne Dedmon, who's making $13 million a year for like 3 seasons or something? I mean, I'm sure you can make your case for like Nerlens Noel, who's playing backup to Steven Adams or something, but I don't know. Okay, I don't know if there's some big available that's just gonna, oh wow, the Celtics are now the best defense in the league since they got whoever this guy is, you know? So I think they just kind of have to get their heads out of their asses and play better defense, really. Just communicate better and all that. I mean, I don't think the game plan has drastically changed. I mean, again, the shots that they're giving up are, give or take, basically the same for the season overall as they are since they started losing a little bit more. But also, it's not like the game plan defensively is just going to change when you're a top 5 defense halfway through the season, you know what I mean? So I wish I had some better solution, but I think they just need to be better. They were really good for a decent stretch of time, so there's that. Now, this team has also had weird injuries all season where it's like, it seems like every game, one of their significant players is out. Whether it's Jalen or Kemba or Tatum or Hayward or Marcus Smart, it's every game one guy's out. And assuming, you know, that will eventually not happen, that will be great, but also everyone deals with injuries. The Raptors have been dealing with injuries. Embiid has been out for Philly. The Pacers are, of course, dealing with perhaps the most significant injury in the East. And I mean, the Celtics just having one guy out for one game and then another guy out for one game is nowhere near the level of Siakam missing a decent amount of time. He's back now. Or Embiid being out for a while with the finger. So it's not an excuse. They've just simply got to be better. In terms of talking about other things with the Celtics besides just this little thing, because I do think they're going to figure it out. It would just be really weird for them to just fall off a cliff this deep into the season, you know? I mean, again, they were on pace at one point to be at 50-16, which probably wasn't going to happen, but they were really rolling before this month began. Other things to talk about, the second unit. It's kind of bad. Now, again, because they keep having one dude out, the rotation has like one dude who Stevens did not design to be there, but it has still been a little alarming that for a long time, one of Stevens' things was the idea of it doesn't matter who's out there, we're still going to play well, is not happening as much this year. And it's a lot of like the minutes with Grant Williams and Semi Ojeleye, although Ojelay's actually been like maybe their only positive player during this bad stretch, but between those two and Wanamaker, who can make threes but is not a three-point shooter or anything, and Carson Edwards has been a disappointment, and I don't think they have a lot of NBA players to go to on the bench. You know, like fully healthy, this team has like 7 players that are actual players, okay? And like, okay, I'll be nice to Grant Williams. The dude has some defensive potential, but he's an awful offensive player. So I think they could use just 1 or 2 dudes off the bench who can just be decent, you know, play some defense, make some threes. In terms of who's available, I mean, any like guy who makes less than $5 million or something who could just competently give you minutes. I mean, Reggie Bullock has had some stuff going on off the court, but someone like him, you know, who probably would take little to acquire. If you want to get a little more aggressive, could they get in on like Malik Beasley with Denver? Potentially, you'd have to give up some sort of a pick, which maybe you'd be okay with. Just something like that. And I know some may say, well, why'd they let go of Marcus Morris? See, I don't think the guy that they should get should be someone who actually like wants to create offense. They've got enough ball handling and all that. They just need a guy who can space the floor and make some open shots, in my opinion. You don't want any Marcus Morris hijacking the offense 15-foot post-up things, you know what I mean? So hopefully they do something there. Besides that, I mean, maybe you can hope that Ojeleye can be the last guy in the rotation. I mean, on his best day, he's a 3-and-D guy. Like, his three-point shot has gotten better throughout his career. It's still not threatening at all, but maybe he's the guy. That, or maybe Stevens trusts Romeo Langford, but Langford's not really a shooter either, even if he's got some other stuff he can do. And then when I move beyond all of that, and I look at other little random things, should Kemba get a little more selfish? A little bit. Not a super lot. But, for example, the dude had 3 straight games where he scored below 20 points. Granted, they won 2 of them, but I think there's a little more room for Kemba just taking over a game. I mean, he had 40 against the Bucks. I don't think they need 40 every game, but when your team's going through a rough thing, you look at your best player to steal some wins for you, and well, Kemba would be the guy. So I think that's something they could explore a little bit more. Whether that's just some more straightforward pick and rolls where he can pull up for 3 because he's good at that, or whatever else. So, again, I think the heart of this is they simply need to play better, and yeah, they've gotten a little unlucky with Milwaukee having an absurdly hot shooting night against them. But that's not the whole story, because the Celtics are definitely looking ugly in other games. I guess I should focus on Hayward just because he's been a bit of a hot topic within deep Celtics internet communities that I unfortunately occasionally see on Twitter. Anybody who thinks Gordon Hayward should be traded, especially for Andre Drummond, is just wrong. I mean, sure, has Hayward had his inconsistencies since coming back from the foot thing? Yes. But his good games have outweighed his bad games. He's had quite a few high teen or 20-point games. His efficiency has been excellent. And I think he's emerging as potentially the most reliable passer on this team. So I'm not worried about Gordon Hayward at all. I think he's going to be really good the rest of the way. So that's all I've got. A gut feeling of where do the Celtics rank in the East right now? I can't confidently say. I think Milwaukee's the best team. I think Miami's the second best team, and then the rest I've got no clue. But even if I think Miami is the second best, that doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to get the 2 seed, you know what I mean? And similar to what I said earlier, like, you could be the 5th best team in the East or whatever. Although, I don't really know who that is. But if you get the 2 seed and you just avoid Milwaukee until the conference finals, you could get all the way to round 3 if a couple things go your way, you know? And then at that point, yeah, you're probably going to lose, but you're there. So, yep, that'll do it. They've just got to be better.